The amount of Sega game consoles is crazy. Sega, a company we've discussed extensively on this channel, has undeniably shaped gaming history. The Sega Mega Drive, as it's known here in the UK, and most of the world for that matter, stands as one of the most significant consoles of all time. After all, it was the first home system to outsell a Nintendo console in certain markets, with particular success not just in Northern Europe and the Anglosphere, but also in regions like Brazil, where it remains a cultural icon thanks to companies like Tectoy. Its predecessor, the Sega Master System, didn't perform particularly well in Japan or the United States, struggling to compete with Nintendo's dominance. However, it achieved remarkable success in other parts of the world, with Brazil being one of them. Its legacy in that country perhaps is more prolific than anywhere else on the planet. While most people are familiar with the Sega Master System and its later redesign, the Master System 2, fewer are aware of the additional iterations of this 8-bit hardware. For instance, Brazil saw the release of the Master System 3 alongside numerous other variants over the years, resulting in amazingly brand new Master Systems being sold there to this very day. So join me today as we revisit this unbelievable chapter in gaming history and explore the Master System's unique legacy where it is most popular. I am Lady Decade. Hit that subscribe button as we're about to uncover the fascinating story of the Sega Master System 3 and beyond. The family tree of Sega systems is surprisingly complex. Take the 16-bit Sega Mega Drive, for instance. Most people could easily point to the Mega Drive 1 and 2, or perhaps even the Sega Mega CD and 32X add-ons. However, a deeper dive into Sega's history reveals a far more intricate and convoluted story, with lesser-known iterations and regional variations that make their hardware lineage anything but straightforward. For instance, there's the North American Genesis 3, the handheld Sega Mega Jet and Nomad, and the all-in-one cartridge/CD units like the Multi-Mega, Wonder Mega and JVC XI. Things only get more eccentric when you factor in Mega Drive personal computers like the Amstrad Mega PC and the Sega Terra Drive, proving that Sega's hardware experiments were as diverse as they were ambitious. And that's before we even touch on the wilder Mega Drive variants from Brazil. The history of the Master System is no less convoluted and is, in my opinion, equally deserving of celebrating after all. Who doesn't love retro gaming's legacy continuing into the modern era? Speaking of retro gaming, who doesn't love a great throwback, or even better, great throwbacks at bargain bucket prices? I can get you over 70% off the brilliant River City Girls games, 52% off the awesome Shredder's Revenge, and even 24% off the recently released Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Save money on thousands of different titles by using my affiliate links down below. Happy shopping, and I hope you find something for you. Nothing will put you in a carnival spirit quite like these savings. We've touched on this channel before that the 8-bit Sega Saga began with the Sega SG-1000, first released in 1983. This humble console laid the foundation for what would eventually evolve into the iconic Master System we know today, but we weren't quite there yet. This earlier system, which shared a strikingly similar architecture to the ColecoVision, was developed under the direction of Sega president Hayao Nakayama. As planned, it was released on the exact same day as Nintendo's Famicom, setting the stage for an intense rivalry in the years to come. The SG-1000 struggled to gain traction and was quickly overshadowed by Nintendo's far more popular system. Recognizing the need for an upgrade, Sega introduced the SG-1000 Mark II. However, this was little more than a cosmetic redesign of the original hardware, and it wouldn't be until the release of the Mark III that Sega made significant improvements, equipping the console with a host of new features and upgrades, and setting the stage for what would later become the Master System. Now gamers were playing with power. Sega power. The SG-1000 Mark III, released in 1985, wasn't just a step up from its predecessor in power, it also boasted graphics that many people feel outshone Nintendo's 8-bit platform. This hardware upgrade eventually made its way to the market in a fresh casing under a new, trendier name: the Master System. The now classic console featured unique additions such as a card slot, which further distinguished it from its competition. So, the SG-1000 Mark III for Japan and the Master System for the rest of the world. Quite simple, right? Well, not quite. To make things even more confusing, the SG-1000 Mark III was later recased and rebranded as the Sega Master System in Japan as well. This meant that, at one point, both the SG-1000 Mark III and the Master System were available in Japan simultaneously, despite being the same device in different packaging. By the time its redesign, the Sega Master System 2, was released globally, it was in reality Sega's 5th revision of its 8-bit console. Well, technically, it could even be considered the 6th if you include the Sega SC3000, a budget home computer that utilised Sega's early 8-bit architecture. This highlights just how many iterations Sega produced during this period, resulting in an intricate and often confusing family tree of hardware. While this 8-bit family tree may seem relatively straightforward so far, as you'll see throughout this video, things only got more convoluted from here. The Master System was debatably somewhat of a commercial failure in North America and Japan, but found great success in other regions, particularly in Australia, Europe, and South America. Its enduring popularity in these markets ensured the system's legacy lived on, even as Sega moved on to new hardware. This does make sense because different market forces around the world would dictate what kind of level of hardware each market would be ready for. Of all of these regions, the Sega Master System enjoyed its longest lifespan in Brazil, where its remarkable longevity forms the foundation of the story we're exploring today. I mean, it's weird Sega console history. Where else could we possibly go? The story differs with this console right from the beginning in the country. In Brazil, the Master System 1 and 2 weren't the same as the versions released elsewhere. Oh no, far from it. Instead, the original design of the Sega Master System was marketed twice. First, it was sold as the Sega Master System and then later on rebranded as the Master System 2, despite being the exact same console in a new guise. The Brazilian Master System 2, which was in reality just the original Master System, dropped the light gun and 3D glasses from the package, but would differ in one area. This version, like many Master System 2s in Europe, would come with Alex Kidd in Miracle World built into the system. In Brazil, these models of the Master System, like all Master Systems in the country, were of course manufactured and sold by Tectoy, the Brazilian electronics company we've discussed extensively on this channel. Tectoy had a licensing agreement with Sega, which proved beneficial for both companies. For Brazilian consumers, this partnership meant they could avoid the exorbitant import taxes imposed by the Brazilian government on foreign electronics, and for Tectoy and Sega, this was a lucrative way of cashing in on this ability to help consumers make savings. It's almost as good as my affiliate deals, which I urge you to take advantage of. Jokes aside, by manufacturing and selling the consoles locally, Tectoy made Sega's hardware far more accessible, cementing its role as a fantastic partner in keeping the Master System alive over the years by helping it thrive in Brazil. When it came to 8-bit console sales, Tectoy would master the system. Next up from Tectoy was a system known as the Sega Master System 3 Compact, which was released around 1992. The reason I say around that time is because the time frame presented varies somewhat from website to website, so I apologise if I'm not entirely accurate. This model was essentially identical to the Master System 2 we touched on earlier. The main differences were the name on the console and the prominent Tectoy logo displayed on the controller. Presumably because they'd already used the name Master System 2 for the earlier iteration, they had to come up with something new. Past there, though, things would quickly become more convoluted as more variants of this system continued to be sold throughout the 90s, often featuring different built-in games and bundled peripherals, such as the iconic light phaser gun. Tectoy's strategy of updating and repackaging the console ensured its continued success in Brazil, keeping the Master System alive well into the decade. As for the original version of the Master System 3 Compact, this came with Alex Kidd in Miracle World built in, but later iterations featured different games. Some included Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Futebol Wii, Global Gladiators, and Bart vs. the World. One particularly notable version of the Master System 3 Compact, for example, came with Sonic built in alongside 19 additional smaller titles developed by Tectoy, collectively marketed as 20 in 1. This more bang for your buck approach kept the console fresh and appealing to Brazilian gamers throughout the 1990s, even as it continued to become more and more of a budget offering. You've got to love feeling like you're saving money. Moving forward, things only got weirder. Tectoy introduced a device known as the Master System Super Compact. This delightfully quirky device was, in some ways, Tectoy's answer to the Sega Mega Jet, or perhaps a sort of 8-bit version of a hybrid between the Game Gear and the Mega Jet. While far less powerful than its 16-bit counterparts, the Master System Super Compact brought its own unique charm to the table. These systems were smaller and more compact than any previous version of the Master System, with the unique ability to be powered by batteries rather than the traditional AC power supply. Snazzy, isn't it? The most surprising feature of these devices was their built-in telecom packs, which allowed them to broadcast AV signals wirelessly to nearby TVs tuned into channel 3 or 4. This made the system entirely wire-free, an incredibly novel feature for the time, wouldn't you agree? However, apparently this wasn't quite as great as it sounds. As impressive as this feature seems to be on the surface, the hardware's wireless capability is highly susceptible to interference. So if you happen to own one of these systems, you are better off connecting it to your TV using an RCA cable anyway. If you think the Master System Super Compact is peculiar, it gets odder with its variant, the Master System Girl. Technically identical to the Super Compact, this bizarre version was distinguished by its bright pink casing. At the time, this must have been seen as a hugely progressive move because, of course, girls clearly wouldn't want to play video games unless the console was pink. Revolutionary, right? Next, in the lunacy that is the Brazilian Master System story, Brazil saw the release of a range of devices known as the Master System 3 collections. These consoles swapped the traditional black design for a Super Nintendo style grey, with different coloured lids depending on the year they were produced. As you can clearly tell from all of this, Tectoy's knack for reimagining the Master System ensured to continue to evolve in surprising ways. It's actually really impressive how much they managed to milk this partnership. From what I can gather, the Master System 3 collections were marketed well into the 2000s, well past the point of the hardware dying off elsewhere, but Tectoy would attempt to give them at least some kind of modern twist. And what I mean by that is, amusingly, these systems replaced the standard 2-button Master System controllers with 6-button Sega Mega Drive controllers, because, of course, all those 8-bit games absolutely needed such a complex layout to function. Not! This was clearly a cheeky marketing gimmick to suggest you could do more with the Master System games than you could in reality. What was cool though, is that these models of the system came with an outrageously large selection of built-in games, boasting up to 131 different titles. Most of these were officially licensed Sega games, but oddly enough, Sonic Drift 2, a Game Gear title, was also included. The remaining games were simple mobile titles developed by Tectoy, making the Master System's lineage increasingly peculiar and straying ever further from its original form. Around the same time the Master System 3 collection was on the market, Tectoy released another device in 2004 called the Master System Handy. This quirky piece of hardware was essentially a plug-and-play controller with a console on a chip inside. It came with 27 built-in games, but be warned, only 7 of those are proper Sega titles. The other 20? Just a collection of basic mini-games, further highlighting Tectoy's tendency to take the Master System in increasingly odd directions. What an absolutely bizarre console lineage this machine has. By 2008, the Master System 3 collection range came to an end, giving rise to a new console simply titled the Master System 3. See, I told you this story is confusing and we're not even done yet. This iteration of the Master System featured a radically different design, abandoning the traditional Master System 2 shape in favour of a completely new look. This version of the system, which lacked a cartridge slot, reportedly used the same system menu and game list as the final variant of the Master System 3 collection console, with its 131 built-in games. And yes, the 6-button Mega Drive controller with its entirely redundant buttons made a completely pointless return as well. So, yay, I guess. The next chapter in Master System history unfolded in 2009 with the release of the Master System Evolution. Amusingly, despite its name, not much evolution took place. The console was almost identical to the Master System 3, with the only noticeable changes being the addition of Altered Beast to the game lineup and a slight redesign of the Sonic artwork on top of the device. Finally, in 2011, Tectoy released a Christian Blue variant of the Master System Evolution, once again featuring a new Sonic design. What is even more remarkable is that as of January 2025, these are still being directly sold brand new on Tectoy's official website. Hilariously, this means that an incredible 39 years after the Sega Master System's initial release, Sega Master Systems, or at least their many variants, are still being manufactured and sold in an official capacity. That's right. In all technicalities, the Sega Master System is still a current gen console, so anyone who told you that Sega lost the console wars must have lied to you. It's almost like Brazil's love affair with the Master System never quite got the memo that Sega's console war ended decades ago. It's as if the Master System was the console equivalent of Transnistria proudly waving the flag of the USSR decades after the bloc crumbled into dust. Meanwhile, in Brazil, it's still being sold as new, like someone forgot to update the store shelves with the 21st century. It's that one stubborn holdout that refuses to acknowledge the passing of time, forever clinging to nostalgia as if Sonic himself might suddenly pop up and yell, "Wait, wasn't I supposed to be on the PlayStation now?" And I am all for it. Speaking of retro gaming refusing to die, don't forget that I can get you over 70% off of the brilliant River City Girls games, 52% off of the awesome Shredder's Revenge, and even 24% off the recently released Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Save money on thousands of different titles by using my affiliate links down below, or if you want to support what I do in a more personal way, access my behind-the-scenes cosplay library and more by becoming a backer over on Patreon. I'll see you all again very soon.